Alright, this is Darth Chiba, and we are playing Star Trek Online. This is the Romulan Faction, and we're playing on Xbox One. I played for quite a while on PC, and my PC went down. But now we have this on Xbox One, so I'm going through and checking it out. It shows the Romulans because I like those ships. And they kind of have an interesting story base out of the three factions. Considering you start out neutral, and then you have to choose whether you join the Klingon Empire or the Federation. Alright, let's get moving with this.
Hey there, ready for the big festival? Working hard? Or maybe you have time to listen to a story or two? Avrak, you're in for a fun day. I'm glad I don't have to deal with him. Anyway, do you want to hear any stories?
Oh, and I made a non-Romulan alien that's working with the Romulan Empire. And the storyline in the game continues on with the Romulan system being wiped out from the newer Star Trek movie series. So you're trying to help them find a new planet.
Almost 2,000 years ago, our people were Vulcans. At that time, Vulcan was a world of war, with constant struggles between the tribes. Serac changed that. He taught that peace came through logic. And if you ask me, not all Vulcans get that right. Serac said that people should master their emotions, not eliminate them. But not everyone on Vulcan wanted to give up love, or passion, or even anger. The Vulcans said, these people marched beneath the Raptor's wings. Instead of fighting their own people, these Vulcans decided to leave in an event we call the Sundering. They boarded great colony ships and set out into unexplored space, looking for a home where they could live and feel as they wished. Eventually, those who marched beneath the Raptor's wings found Romulus and Remus. They created an empire. Although we share a genetic bond with the Vulcans, we are our own people. Never forget that. Want to hear another story?
Still considers me a Romulan. That's funny.
The destruction of Romulus was a terrible thing. We lost our home and our loved ones. We lost our soul. The people who survived were scattered and leaderless. Survival was a daily struggle. There were some fights for control before Empress Sela took over, but I never paid much attention. That Taurus woman was never going to get far. Now Sela and the Tal Shiar are attempting to rebuild the strength of the Romulan Star Empire, but they do so with fear and oppression. Steer clear of them if you can. People like us should just try to stay out of the Tal Shiar's way. Life is more important than politics or power. There are a lot of Romulans who just wander from planet to planet because there's no place to call home anymore. We are lucky to have Viranat. This is a good place. A place to put down roots. Without that, we're just dust, scattered by the winds of fate. Do you want to hear another story?
Okay, one last story.
Viranat was a colony world. It used to be a big agricultural planet, growing food for the Empire. After Romulus was destroyed, thousands upon thousands of people flooded the planet. The old cities couldn't hold them all, and they were scared. They started fighting amongst themselves. One night, the cities burned. Most of the survivors left. A few hung on, scrapping old ships and using them as building materials. That's how the Maori found them, about 10 years ago. The Maori was the commander of an old warbird. Navala was his first officer, and Devex the chief engineer. They were
It's
wandering the
almost 7 in the
sector,
morning.
trying to find a new home. When they found Viranat, they decided to stay. Devex kept the old warbird functional, and he used it to make supply runs and bring back other Romulans who needed a home. Navala put herself in charge of security, and the Maori, he runs the whole colony now. Devex met Tovan Kev in a mining colony a few years back. I think it was 4 years ago. But then again, I didn't come here until 2 years ago, so this is not just information I've heard about secondhand. I actually have a question for you.
Oh,
if
good.
you don't want to hear another story, when did you arrive here? I know we only have a few hundred people living here, but so many come and go that it's hard to keep track. I'm recording the stories of all the people that live here, you see. And I would love to start yours off with your arrival. Who knows? It could be something that becomes historical in a few years.
And I forgot what the Maori was. Early in the morning. Let's see. I'll put the barely a year thing.
Barely a year? That's right, you're one of the newer folk. And you're already a security guard. Lucky you. We should definitely talk more about this over drinks tonight.
Okay, back to whatever mission I'm supposed to be doing here. Okay, I may have to just find a staircase. Controls are going to get a little bit, we're going to take a little bit of getting used to compared to the PC. I'm not downing that, I'm just not used to them yet. Or I guess not knocking them.
A strange machine and some weird drone things? That is troubling. Someone's been in there. We'll have to let the Maori know about this. It's good you disabled the device, though. Maybe now the Kellids will calm down. I took a look at those biological samples while you were gone, but I can't do much more than a basic tricorder scan. It's just not my area. Devex might be able to help. He was an engineer in the Romulan military before the homeworld was destroyed. Now he's helping us with our water supply and anything else that takes more specialized knowledge. You should talk to him.
And that'll come in handy later.
What do you need with an old space hound like me? I have an idea of what this might be. Maybe. I saw something like this once before, when I was out beyond the Eridon Belt. We responded to a distress call from a mining outpost. When we got there, all the people were just gone, vanished without a trace. The only things we found were a strange beacon and some odd spore samples. These look very similar.
It's kind of weird. I thought I chose an engineer, but...
Sure, use whatever you want. I remember what we found back on the outpost. Bring the samples to me when you're done, and I can help you determine the results.
This is some...
I've only seen fungal biotech like this once before. Remember that mining station that I mentioned? Before we arrived, they reported several disappearances. Some thought it was paranoia, but we had reports that said intruders would beam in right through the colony's magnetic shield, right into someone's quarters, sedate them, and then vanish without a trace. We didn't know what to believe, but I don't think those miners were paranoid. Something did happen to them, and it could happen again. That's what my commander believed. We found a beacon with almost the same configuration as the one you found. We weren't able to get much from it before we shut it down. But the one thing we learned is that the beacon was made by a race that called themselves the Elachi. We stayed in orbit for a few days, but the Elachi never came back. That's good news for us, seeing that you disabled the beacon you found in the caverns. That's right. He's the man in charge, so he needs to know. I'd be surprised if he doesn't want to send someone down there to analyze that beacon. Could be these Elachi were interested in our colony for some reason. Lucky for us, you were there to put a stop to whatever they were trying to do.
Well, I am far more tired than expected and still have to work today. So, I think I'll stop here and also continue this one later today. Oh.